Hello, good evening. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. I have a great topic for you today. I'm going to be talking about a case where you can get immigration relief if you've been used and abused by an employer. Now, this is called labor trafficking, and believe it or not, this does happen. But the only thing is, even though it does happen, a lot of people don't know that you can seek immigration relief if you're going through this. Now, labor trafficking is where you have been forced or you have been coerced to do work, to do services for an individual or for an organization, and and because of that, you are because of that, you're here, you're in the United States, and you may also be without status. So in this case where you're without status, you have an employer who is now, when we talk about trafficking, you may think about a scenario where an individual is locked up in a basement or chained up somewhere and being put to slave labor. And that does definitely count, believe it or not. Things like that do happen, but trafficking comes in different forms. And one form of trafficking is not necessarily a physical force to work, but where you are coerced. And when I say coerced, you are the employer or the individual who is putting you in this situation doesn't necessarily straight up grab you and chain you up or physically restrain you, but they may say things to scare you into staying to do the work or scare you to force you to do the work. So they may tell you that you are, if you leave, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Or if you leave, you're going to be caught by ICE. Are you ready to be caught by ICE? So these are that's a form of coercion where they use, they use your fear more than physical force to let you stay. You may just know of the employer, the individual's past. You may be afraid of what they are capable of doing. Maybe they have not said it in so many words, but they have shown you in so many ways that they're capable of maybe reporting you to ICE or doing worse things to you. That's a form of coercion. So if you are in a situation where you've been physically forced, but also coerced, or through fraud, where the employer may have promised you. They may have promised you that if you work for them, they're going to get you your papers. So just stay with them until you can get your papers, because if you do, or if you work for a number of years, they can get your papers for you. And that's fraud, right? If they tell you, come on to the US. Once you get here, we're going to take care of everything. We're going to get you an employer, and then you come and you realize they can't get you legal work. But you may realize that when you're already knee deep in the situation. Immigration relief is available for situations like this. Now, once again, when you're applying for T status, it is a confidential process. And there are requirements that you have to meet, and I help clients to get there, to meet those requirements. I do the hard parts for my clients. I try to make it as stress-free for them because they've already gone through a tough time. And so I take care of those other requirements. So here are some of the requirements. Your declaration or your statement. This is going to be very important because, the USCIS, the Immigration Service, understands that when it comes on to trafficking situations, the traffickers' whole aim is to hide what they're doing to the victim. And in this case where they're hiding what they're doing, there's not going to be a lot of evidence to begin with. And so your statement, your memory, everything that happened to you is going to be very important. And so I help my clients to put this together in a way that's clear and that is evident to the Immigration Service that you clearly went through a case of labor trafficking. Now, there are other requirements as well. The other is that there is reporting done to law enforcement or an agency that falls under law enforcement under immigration law. And this is the part I take care of for my clients. And how that looks is going to depend on the type of trafficking. For example, the Department of Labor is one of the agencies that will handle certain cases. But if it is a more severe case where maybe someone was chained up in a basement and escaped the situation, maybe then it would be more of a law enforcement situation. Also, if the trafficker moved you from state to state, that could also be another type of agency, just based on moving from one state to the other. So it looks different. How we report, how we work with the law enforcement is going to look different just based on what the situation is. Now, when we talk about working with law enforcement, that is one thing I don't want you to be fearful of. We can talk about it and talk about what that's going to look like in your situation. But when we, usually when you're reporting this, it's going to vary. So in some cases, law enforcement may not necessarily respond, but under this type of immigration relief, they do want to see evidence that you have at least tried to make a report about your ordeal. So I help with that. In cases where the victim, my client, has not already reported it, I handle the reports for my clients and I work directly with law enforcement. And at any point that my client is not comfortable with where things are going, then we can work together on what we're going to do or the next steps. Now, there are exceptions to to reporting to law enforcement. And the exceptions would be if you have faced so much trauma through your ordeal that you can't possibly cooperate or make a report or cooperate with law enforcement. And then the other is if you are under the age of 18 at the time it happened. So here's a situation where you may be under the age of 18, where you were brought here by a relative, and that relative forced you to, and when I say force, I don't mean necessarily physically force, but may just by under circumstances where they took you here, maybe they promised to send you to school, maybe they promised to adopt you, and then you found out you came here to do work in the house like a maid, or you came here to be a nanny for the trafficker's children or your relative's children. In this case, that could qualify you for a T visa. And if you're a minor at the time that the trafficking happened, then you could meet the law enforcement exception here. So what does the benefits of this look like? Now, I am going to answer your questions, so go ahead and you can start putting your questions in the comments. As soon as I'm finished talking about this, I'm going to hop straight into your questions. But what does this look like? The relief that you're gonna get. Now, it takes about 6 to 18 months to get a decision on this once it is filed. And if all being well, it's an approval, what you would be able to get is 4 years a permission to stay here, 4 years of a work permit, and after 3 years of the 4 years, you'd be able to apply for permanent residence. So it does lead to a path to permanent residence where you don't have to leave. You can stay here in the United States. The trafficker does not have to be a U.S. citizen. They don't have to have legal status. So that's another thing. You should not, as long as the trafficking violated the laws here, and it in some way is connected to the United States, then you would be able to qualify for this. And you don't have to have status. If you're out of status, if you cross the border without permission, this could also be relief for you. You could still qualify. There are ways to ask for forgiveness. If you yourself, you've been in trouble before, if you have crossed the border without permission, there are ways to ask for forgiveness if you even need a waiver. Now, that's what you should know. I'm going to be looking at questions here on YouTube and on TikTok. So I'm going to start with YouTube. Hello, if my green card was approved, but after that I received a denial for my advanced parole application that I submitted concurrently with my AOS. Should I respond to the AP denial or ignore it? I'm not your attorney. When it comes on to denials, you have to be very careful. And because of that, I wouldn't be able to advise you on what to do. This is a more specific case to you. I'd have to understand what's going on because you got your green card, then you had an AP denial. Usually when you get a denial, you don't usually have to reply to it. An AP denial usually means that you don't have your green card yet. So I'd really have to understand what's going on first. Always go ahead and get legal advice before you do anything. So if you're in doubt, get legal advice. Now, let us go to questions here on TikTok. Thank you, Seeking My First Lady. My sister petitioned me in 2013. I got an approval letter 2 months ago. How long more do I have? So it's going to depend on your priority date and what date they're processing now. How about overseas and getting back married to a US citizen? That is a possibility, but I would have to understand what your situation is. Usually, if you're here, you're married to a US citizen and you overstayed your visa, generally you could qualify for adjustment of status, but I need to understand what else is going on to be able to confirm you qualify. My green card issue January 21st. When I'm eligible to apply for citizenship, it's marriage-based green card. So if you're married to a US citizen, then it's going to be 3 years. So you have to have it for 3 years and be married to the US citizen for 3 years. Great questions so far. Keep these questions coming. Hi, hope all is well. How long does it take USCIS to respond to the RFE F1 visa process? So it's going to depend on what the RFE was and what the response is. So, it's all going to depend right there. My green card issued January 21st. When I'm eligible to apply for citizenship, so can I book a consultation with you? Absolutely. So that's one of the things I do. I come here, I answer general questions, but really to get to the meat of the matter, you should schedule a consultation. You can do that by going to the link in the profile. It's going to take you to a number of options. You can schedule your own appointment. You can also go ahead and go to the website. You can call the number, and there is a scheduling coordinator who will be available up until 7:30 tonight to take your call. This is also a 24/7 line, so that means that you would be able to get help, and they'll be able to help you and pass you on to a scheduling coordinator to get that scheduled and confirmed. All right. So how long after you file VAWA case do you get approval? So it's going to, right now it's backed up, and we're seeing anywhere from 18 months to even 2 years to get that final decision. The good thing about VAWA is that you're able to get early relief through your work permit if you apply for the adjustment of status at the same time. So additional finance was requested, the response was provided, and they received it. So I'm not your attorney, so I wouldn't be able to tell you how long it's going to take. It just all depends. Now, that's where a consultation and getting representation is going to be very important, because remember, the information I'm giving you is general. So when it comes on to very, very specific questions like this, you definitely need to consult an attorney. I can definitely provide you legal advice in a consultation. However, I don't review forms. And I don't review forms to go send people to do it on their own. My representation is comprehensive and is complete from beginning to end. So if you're scheduling the consultation, you just have to understand that you'll be getting advice, but it's not going to be to sit down to review your detailed information. So great questions. Thanks for your questions. Can you get a travel document when filing VAWA? So it's going to depend, Latoya. Now, when you are filing for VAWA, there is a petition, but you have to keep in mind that the work permit you don't get a work permit until you're approved for the VAWA. Now, the way that the work permit comes a little earlier is if you can apply for adjustment of status at the same time. So you have to be very careful to know, and you have to understand that the VAWA petition in itself doesn't get you a work permit. It's approval of the VAWA that gets you the work permit. But if you qualify to apply for adjustment of status at the same time that you're applying for VAWA, that's where you can get the work permit while you're waiting. So if this is a process that you have to make sure where you understand the legal requirements. That's where it's important to get consultation and representation through your process to make sure you're not making mistakes that will lead to unnecessary denials or delays. Great questions. I appreciate these questions. Thanks so much. So I will be back now tomorrow. I am going to be on, but I'm going to be on a little earlier. I have a schedule that is a little hectic. So just look out for me. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to tell you a time for tomorrow, but I am going to come on and a little earlier than 4 p.m. If you follow me and then you make sure that you get notifications, you would be able to join me for a live tomorrow where we can talk about a topic and I can also come and answer your questions. Keep in mind that the information I'm giving you today is general information. It's not personalized legal advice. And that's where it's important for you to take those steps for yourself and make sure you invest in your own future and get that scheduled so I can work with you to understand what your situation is and advise you on your options and then represent you through it should you qualify. So thanks again for all your time today. I will be back tomorrow, but I'm going to be on a little earlier than 4 p.m. So look out for me. And if you can't catch me, know that I post this live on YouTube. So you will see posted tomorrow. You can check at the end of the day for the new live tomorrow on YouTube. On YouTube, I'm the immigration attorney. So you can catch me. If you don't get to catch me live, you can always catch me on YouTube at the channel is The Immigration Attorney, same as the TikTok. Now, also, I'm not completely finished. What I am going to be doing is I'm going to go over to Instagram and Facebook. I'm The Immigration Attorney on Instagram as well. So what you can do is you can head on over there with me and then you can continue to get information and also ask your general immigration questions. You can schedule the consultation if you know you have very specific questions that need attention, you need to get started on your case, then that's where the consultation is going to be very important. So thanks again, everyone, for your time. I will be back tomorrow, and you can always look out for that posted live if you miss it on YouTube. I'm the Immigration Attorney on YouTube. Have a great one. Bye-bye.